Hey everyone, I'm Mike Robertson of Indianapolis Fitness and Sports Training and Robertson Training Systems. Today I've got my good friend Lance here with me, and behind the scenes we've got D. Alan Tucker shooting a little video. But today what we're going to cover is chin-ups, because we get a lot of people that have questions about how to perform chin-ups properly, as well as the progressions that we use here to get somebody that may be a little bit weaker or not quite as strong to the point where they can do chin-ups effectively. Now, the big thing you can see, if we panned around a little bit, we don't have any lat pull-down machines. I'm not going to shell out $3,000 for a machine that you can really only do lat pull-downs and tricep press-downs on. So, what we have, very simple setup here. We're going to take Lance through some progressions that we use to get him all the way up to a true chin-up. So, Lance, I'm going to have you scoot out here. We'll slide this guy out. The first thing I want to cover is just the technique that we use. So regardless of what you're doing, whether it's a lat pull down, a chin up variation, the basic techniques are the same. Go ahead and hang for me here, Lance. Maybe most importantly, a lot of beginners want to cheat. They want to have a little elbow flexion going. So make sure you relax all the way down. And then when you start the motion, you start by pulling through your elbows all the way up to a point where your chest is actually touching the bar. So Lance, give me a couple here. And as you can tell, at that top position, he's actively thinking about pulling down or depressing his scapula. Pavel says, Pavel describes it as tucking your shoulders into your back pocket. So hopefully that gives you guys a basic idea of the technique. Three most important things: full hang at the bottom, pull through the elbows, and one more, if you can, squeezing those shoulder blades down at the top. So that's the basic technique. Here in a second, we're going to take you through the exact progressions that we use to get somebody from, a more standard band-assisted variation all the way up to a full chin-up. Okay, so as you can tell here, we've got Lance set up. This is what we call a band-assisted chin-up. So you guys can see we've just got basic bands here. We buy ours from Elite FTS. They've got great stuff. And they also have a ton of different thicknesses. So we've had clients as heavy as 300 pounds that are more fat loss focused clients actually performing chin-ups. You just have to find the right amount of band for them. So when we start with a band-assisted version, a lot of times what we'll have people do is start off with what we call a ChinUp ISO. And all we're going to have Lance do, he's strapped in here, and I'm just going to have him hold up at that top position. And honestly, I don't care. He can jump up to the top. All I want him to do is hold this top position, actively focus on squeezing those scapula down, depressing the scapula, and generally what we'll have him try and do is hold for about 20 seconds. Once they can do 3 sets of 20-second holds, we'll go ahead and go on to the next band. Take a break, buddy. But 20 seconds works out really well, especially for those of you listening in. You may not care so much about chin-ups. You want to build a bigger bench press. So we know stability is really important. When you set up for a big bench press, you're focused on pulling your shoulder blades back and down. So that's that same stabilization pattern we're trying to develop here with this chin-up. So we start off with a band-assisted ISO, where they're holding the top, and then once they're comfortable with that, they can hold for 20 seconds pretty easily. Then we'll actually have them go through the full range of motion. So just give me a couple of reps here. Same basic technique, squeezing down at the top, getting that full stretch in the bottom, and really focus on trying to pull through his elbows versus using his arm to start the motion. Very nice. Okay, so we went ahead and actually spun this around too so you can see the band. The nice thing about using a band is you get that accommodating resistance. So at the bottom, you get the most stretch on the band. It helps you get going at the bottom, and then you get the least assistance at the top, which is where a lot of people need it too, because they really need to develop those lower trapezius muscles. Alright, so last but not least, once they've mastered all the band stuff and they're ready to get into using their own body weight, again, we'll follow that same basic progression. So we'll have Lance start off with just a basic chin-up ISO. However he can get up there, whether it's jumping, pulling himself up, holding that top position for about 15 to 20 seconds. Once he's got this down, then we'll actually have him go through and bang out a couple reps. Now if you need to, you can maybe throw some eccentrics in here along the way where they maybe jump up, hold the top position, and then lower, but it's really up to you on what you're most comfortable with. Alright, so what Lance was demonstrating there was a neutral grip chin-up. We've got this nice monkey bar attachment. Again, it's from Elite FTS, but you can see he's got a neutral alignment. If your gym has this, I would recommend starting here. This is generally the easiest for most people. Once you've got this down, you can switch to a basic supinated grip. Again, in this position, you're still going to be able to recruit your bicep a little bit and your arm. It's going to help you, get yourself up and down a little bit easier. The final version is a pronated grip. And you can see when I do this, your bicep connects to your radius. When you roll your radius over, now you don't have that efficient line of pull anymore. So this really helps isolate the upper back muscles and can really maximize your development. So when you figure in the progression from neutral grip to supinated to pronated, then you can factor in things like fat grips, adding extra weight, or even what I call pillar chin-ups, where your legs are totally straight and your stomach and glutes are tight. There are a ton of options out there, but hopefully today we've given you guys a couple ideas. If you're struggling with your chin-ups and you want to make them a little bit better, follow the progressions that we use here, and I think you'll be really pleased with the results. So again, Mike Robertson, Lance Goyke coming to you from Indianapolis Fitness and Sports Training. Train hard and have a good week.